Here in Level 2 Pattern Optimizer, we're going to investigate and try and determine at what is the maximum distance at which I can break 100% of the targets by using a 1 1/8 ounce load. So I'm going to start over on the left hand side over here and show you that I have the target area set at 5, which we talked about in the Level 1 Pattern Optimizer. And then I'm going to start over here as far as the pellet count is concerned with 8 1/2. And there'll be a reason why I'm doing that. There's 530 8 1/2 in an 1 1/8 ounce load. And having played around with this a lot, I'm going to speed things up by just simply coming up here and showing you that we are going to set your accuracy requirements to a 14-inch diameter, which means that you must be within 7 inches of dead center on 95% of the shots that you take in order to achieve the scores, the percentage that we're going to show down here in the lower right hand corner. So what I'm going to do now is move over here to play around with at what size pattern is required to achieve this 100%. And you can see over on the right hand side, right at the moment with the 14-inch accuracy, 530 8 1/2, and a pattern spread of 22.6 inches, we have 100%. Let's see if I can make it any bigger. The moment I try and go any bigger, it drops off to 99.7. So that's the outer limit then of my pattern size, 22.6. Now let me move this on down and see what the lower limit of that is for this situation. And for a while it'll stay at 100%, and then as I go smaller and smaller with the pattern size, meaning I'm shooting closer and closer, it will eventually fall out and I will not. There it is right there. Okay. So basically what I'm able to say is, in my analysis of what I'm doing, anywhere from a pattern diameter of 14.2 inches to 22 inches with an accuracy of 7 inches or better on 95% of the targets and 530 pellets, I will be able to achieve 100%, or I like to put it, that puts me squarely in the 100% zone, where my pointing accuracy is determining what my score is, not being unlucky and having a pattern hole rob me of a target from time to time. Now, let me show you how I normally relate to this number right here, and it works out very close, certainly close enough for what you're doing here. And if you choose not to use my method, then you're going to need to read Dr. Jones's book, which is about 285 pages, and take the time to digest all of the information in there. And probably when you come to the end of that, you'll conclude that yes, Dry Fire Bob was doing it right after all. So what I said in the beginning was, when this number is set at 22, like right here, this is a typical full choke at 33 yards. And strangely enough, for every yard closer, the pattern is approximately 1 inch smaller. So if 22 inches is 33 yards, then when I bring this back on down to, let's just stop it, it was still 100% at 15. Okay, so now I have basically made the pattern diameter smaller from 22 down to 15, or 7-inch variation, which in my mind says then that this distance, this pattern size in a full choke will occur at 7 inches less than the 33, or at 26 yards. So what I'm able to say then is, with 7-inch accuracy, 8 1/2, if you shot with a full choke, if you shot as soon as 26 yards, there's a 100% chance you'll break the target. And moving that all the way on up then to 22 inches, which represents 33 yards, and you're still at 100%. So basically, you have a 7-yard zone. Think of it this way: if you shot very, very quickly but didn't shoot before the 26 yards, you would be in the 100% zone. So from 26 to 33 yards, or 7 yards, that zone, 7 yards in depth, will give you 100% if your accuracy can be maintained at 14. And then going on from there, many times people aren't very enthusiastic about using 8.5s for trap singles. So the question becomes, well, how does it change then if we reduce it to number 8s? So let's take the pellet count down from 530 to 465, and let's do the problem over again. Leaving the same accuracy of 14 inches. Notice down here that I'm at 99.9. So I'm going to go over here to my pattern diameter and start making it smaller. And I'm going to have to go to right there. So at about a 20-inch diameter, which would be 2 yards less than my 33 yards for the full choke. So at 31 yards with number 8s, I can break 100% of the targets. And let's go down and see how far I can go. Right there. And I can again go down to about 15 inches. So from 15 inches to 20 inches, which is about a 5-yard zone. So now I'm able with number 8s to go from 26 yards to 31 yards and stay in the 100% zone. So that's what happened. The 8.5s in effect stretch that zone by 2 more yards in depth, so I can go on out to 33 yards rather than being restricted to 31 yards. All right, now let's go to the next step, which is somebody's going to say, well, what about 7.5s? So we're going to bring the pellet count down this time to 392 and do basically the same thing over again. Now, looking down here in the lower right-hand corner right off the bat, you can see it's 99.9, and I've got a very small spread down here right now. Let me go even smaller and see if I can find a 100% zone. And it's getting worse the farther I go down, so maybe it's up a little bit higher. Let's see. And as I move back and forth, I am unable to find a place with 7.5s where I can get to the 100% zone. I can get to 99.9, but I can't get to 100%. Now, of course, you're going to argue, oh, well, you know, 0.1% isn't a big deal, and it isn't. But what I'm trying to show you again here is exactly how helpful this tool is. At least we could say, having gone through what we've just gone through, that certainly you have a better chance with 8.5s because you have a 7-yard depth zone from 26 yards to 33 yards, at which if you can maintain your 7-inch accuracy, that you can break every target. And then we found that when we went to number 8s, what happened was the zone is now 2 yards shorter. It starts at 26 again, and it goes this time to 31. So if this was what you choose, and you want to stay in the 100% zone, you're going to have to shoot faster than someone who's shooting at 33 yards. And then finally, if you choose to use 1 1/8 ounce of 7.5s, according to what Dr. Jones's calculator shows here, it's impossible to truly get to 100%. You can get to 99.9, but you can't get to 100. So that concludes what we're going to do in level 2 of the Pattern Optimizer. And again, what I'm trying to do is get you interested in this as a very interesting tool. Who knows what somebody else will figure out by playing with this. And that's really what it is. It's a toy you can play with and ask yourself this question, wonder what happened if I did this? Wonder what would happen if I would do that? And so what we've learned at this point is there is an absolute distance out there beyond which 1 1/8 ounce of even 8.5s cannot break 100% of the targets. Now we're doing this to try and show trap shooters at singles what they must do. But think about other people. Doesn't this relate also to any kind of a shotgun using 1 1/8 ounce of 8.5s? It doesn't make any difference if you're shooting trap or sporting clays or what you're doing. There is a barrier out there at 33 yards that is a physical barrier based upon random shotgun patterns that you and I can't do anything about. Now, if you shot a heavier load, like when you go into the field to shoot live game, then obviously your range becomes a little bit longer. If you went to 1.25 ounces or 1.5 ounces load and you increase the pellets, you're going to have a range that is beyond 33 yards. But in our target realm, the 1.1 ounce load, you're pretty much restricted to the 100% zone, stops at a 22-inch diameter pattern, which for most chokes is 33 yards, which incidentally brings up another thing. If you can find a choke that does a better job, keeps the pattern tighter, then 33 yards may not be your maximum. It may be a yard or two farther. But according to what Dr. Jones has done in his testing and what I've personally seen, I've not seen that magic choke that can hold that pattern, instead of 22 inches at 33 yards, keeps it down to 17. I haven't seen that choke. One day I'd like to see it because I'd definitely like to buy one. But at this point, I haven't been able to find one. Okay, I hope that helps you now. And that's it from Dry Fire Bob.